for long enough, former Clemson Tiger head coach Tommy Bowden joins us every Friday afternoon during the college football campaign. Coach, welcome in. Always appreciate your time, and we would certainly be remiss if we didn't recognize your father here with you today and his contributions to the sport we all love. And it was amazing, at least from my perspective, to see the outpouring for him and his life. And I certainly, our thoughts and prayers with you and your family, but always good to have you on.
Well, appreciate it. How many years have we done this now?
Coach, I think we're working on 7 or 8. At some point, they got to give us tenure,
7
right?
or 8. Hey, I've lasted longer with you than I did with Clemson. Doing pretty good.
Yeah, but the pay's a lot better over there, I think. The pay's a lot better over there.
I was going to say, yeah, nothing times nothing is nothing with you.
But, Coach, yeah, we are excited to get you back on. And let's begin with Florida State and the tributes to your dad that are going to be going on this entire season down there. I know that's certainly got to be special for your mom and the rest of your family. But have you been able to see some of those things that they are going to be doing with his logo and his hat and all that? And what does that mean to your family?
Well, I've just seen it in the newspaper and when it's been covered in the media, which it's a nice honor for him. I'm really happy that my mother is alive and in good health, where she can see it and see how he's going to be honored, by the university and the effect that it'll have, the national media about him. So I'm happy for her. But 72 years married, they spent a long time together, and she's one that's it's been the most difficult transition for her. So. That might take a little bit of the sting away, what Florida State's going to do Sunday. And I know it's very appreciative from the family standpoint.
Just an incredible legacy in the sport, and still that Bowden impact in the sport. Is your brother Terry going to be back on the sidelines this year? What are you hearing from him as he gets set to put the headset on again?
Kentucky Wildcats better watch out, because upset specials up in Lexington with the Warhawks from University of Louisiana Monroe going to take on the Wildcats. So you got a Warhawk versus he's got a lot of transfers. Of course, Rich Rodriguez is up there with him. Rich's son is going to start at quarterback, Rhett. So Rich will have a good idea how to attack them offensively. Kentucky will have a lot better players, but should be. I'm anxious to see how they do. I don't think they won a game last year, so all these guys do is win one, but I don't know if it'll be this week.
Well, and a lot of former Clemson GAs and assistants along for the ride with him over there as well. So I know a lot of Clemson Tiger fans will be interested to see what they end up doing. But, this season or this offseason, Coach, has really been loaded with the conversations about Clemson and Georgia and this matchup in Charlotte. And obviously you had your fair share of opening season games that you had to get your team up for. And I thought it was interesting. Kirk Herbstreit said yesterday or day before yesterday, he said, this is jumping into the deep end of the pool. I mean, you don't get a chance when you're Clemson or Georgia to have a warm-up, if you will, like you see at high school football, like you see in the NFL. I mean, how difficult is it for these coaches and players to start off with a game of this magnitude?
Well, the difficulty will be an equal burden on each of them. So it would be different if one was at an disadvantage. Say they were in Louisiana or Mississippi, had weather problems, couldn't practice, or something like that. But again, both of these teams are working under the same parameters. So there won't be that much of a difficulty. The interesting thing about this thing is both the head coaches have coached in the games of this magnitude. Both of the quarterbacks have played in games of this magnitude, and both of them are really talented. I think that's what makes it special. I had opening big games, but never with the, a number 2 and a number 5 or whatever polls you look at. I've never been involved with one this big from a national ranking. We played Georgia early and some others, Alabama early, but the national ranking of these two teams is what really, really makes it special. But neither team will be an advantage over the other from as far as the largeness of the game.
Yeah, I think that's just the 5th game of this type of, top 5 or whatever matchup since maybe 2000 to kick off a season. So there really hasn't been a whole lot of those. And I've got that in my notes somewhere. I'd have to go in and dig it up a little bit. The other part of this, too, from the standpoint of Clemson, like everybody's seen this team play, but when they were against LSU in the national championship, Clemson got beat up pretty handily. When they played their last matchup a year ago against Ohio State, Clemson got beat up pretty handily. And there's a conversation out there amongst some that, well, Clemson's not what they once were. They're falling off under Dabo Swinney. What do you make of those conversations as we head into this opener?
Yeah, that's really doesn't make much sense. Now, when you talk about getting beat up by LSU, is that the Joe Burrow LSU?
That is,
yeah.
Well, that's the one.
Yeah, they beat up. Yeah, they beat up on Alabama and everybody else. So throw that one out the window. Now, Ohio State and Justin Fields, they were a better team. They were a better team, and they played better that day. So that's got nothing to do, to me, it's a reflection on Dabo. Dabo's reaching a status up there. You're starting to throw his name around with Nick Saban. A lot of people are, and justifiably so, because of the extended success he's had at the highest level. That's the ultimate. That's what every coach strives to do, what Dabo's done. So to reflect those two games on what he's accomplished, those are some people that really wouldn't have any idea about what coaching in college football and things of that magnitude.
He's on Twitter at Tommy_Bowden. He's with us every Friday. And again, Georgia and Clemson, 7:30 on ABC from Charlotte, a neutral site matchup between the ACC and the SEC. But that's not the only big matchup in between these two leagues coming up this weekend. Obviously, Alabama and Miami is one of the other ones that people will be watching, along with that Louisville Ole Miss matchup. But, for the Miami fans and the contingent down there, I think you just want to keep this game close, right? I mean, if there's anything that's given Nick Saban trouble through the years, it's been that elusive quarterback, and perhaps Derek King returning off of his injury could be that and could keep it close. I mean, do you give the Hurricanes a chance to make this thing interesting the way, say, Minnesota did last night against the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yeah, they've got a chance. It might be a slim chance, but they have a chance. And, not that I'm an expert on this type of game, but I opened up with Alabama one year, and you better be ready for the, I hate to use this word, it's a media word, physicality, of Alabama. Now, that was the first year that Alabama went undefeated, and they were a better team than we were. But Alabama, and I know Miami, they've got some good players, and is the U back and all that, but I don't have as much confidence as some of the other national media that this is going to be a close game. Miami's quarterback is good. He's not very tall, and the push that Alabama's going to be able to get back in his face, which is going to displace him, and now he can run, but unfortunately, he's got some guys that can tackle and catch him in the open field. So I don't have the same feelings as a lot of the national media that this will be a close game.
Well, you bring up the first game. That's the other thing, too. Just it's always a little bit weird, right? There's always, and maybe it's not across the board, but it feels like this when you watch football, that there's an inexplicable turnover that a guy that hadn't fumbled the ball all last season has. I mean, it's, practice is, I guess, at times supposed to be close to simulating what happens at the game, game speed. But would you agree that there is just this extra gear that these players have to be ready to play at when you enter this opening weekend, no matter who you are?
Yeah, there's no doubt, because regardless of who the teams are, either unranked teams, what Miami's offense has gone against most of the time their scout team defense, because you got to get the scout team defense to line up in Alabama fronts. And you're not going to take Miami's first team defense and go waste time in doing that. They've got to get ready for Alabama's offense. So the thing that you just mentioned is very important from a coaching perspective, is being able to catch up with the speed of the game. Which team can do that? Who's got more talented depth? Alabama. So Alabama's scout team defense that plays Miami's defense is going to be a little bit faster, and the speed of the game is not going to be more difficult to adjust for Alabama, to me, than it is Miami. So, both teams have to adjust to the speed of the game. But which team has the more depth when you break up and go prepare, sends a scout team down there that can best represent athletically what they're going to see on Saturday or Sunday whenever they play. So I think that advantage in this particular game is Alabama's.
Tommy Bowden on the program here, Clemson Sports Talk every Friday afternoon, getting you started as we head into the weekend. And Coach, because we haven't had you on all summer, we haven't had a chance to ask you about NIL and the way that's changed the game. I've got my television on here in studio, and I just see DJ Uiagalelei on the Dr. Pepper commercial. I mean, what do you think about the deal that's taken place on that front? I know the players are excited about it, but could you see this coming even perhaps when you were in coaching, that there would be a day where players would be able to benefit off of their name, image, and likeness? And if so, what do you think about it?
No, I think it's good. I never saw it coming. And the NCAA has such a tight fist around any player, any sense of marketability or any extra income other than the scholarship, black and white, what it exists. I think the 9-0 rule of the Supreme Court showed you how unjustified it was as far as restricting what the financial intake of athletes. And the rich are going to get richer. You know, the teams that have the money and the boosters are going to be able to separate even more. But the thing that you're kind of disappointed is there is no structure. There's so much ambiguity and open-endedness to what a player can earn and how they earn it, what they have to do, the responsibilities involved. It's like the Wild Wild West when somebody did something wrong. You got a posse together and you strung them up or shot them or whatever. And that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's just nothing. It's just like whatever you want to do. So that's I wish it were a little more structured. But what's great for the athlete.
College football commissioner Tommy Bowden. How's that? How's that ring?
Well, I don't know. I'll tell you what. If I got something like if I could use my NIL for that for finances like that, but that somebody whoever is gonna nobody has been designated, and nobody can put a governor or standards on what athletes are allowed to do. I think it's needed, but right now, obviously, the Supreme Court is calling the shots.
Perhaps we will get there one day. We'll see it. I mean, when we do, hopefully Tommy Bowden will still be with us here on the program on Fridays. He want to have traded us in for a bigger name show somewhere out there. He'll be talking to the Clemson Tiger faithful about it. But, you know, back to Clemson in Georgia, I'm so intrigued, and really maybe even more so across the country. Last night, C.J. Stroud, a new face at Ohio State at quarterback. You got Bryce Young, a new face at Alabama. And even still, I mean, DJ at Clemson, just a couple of games really under his belt, one of significance, obviously, against Notre Dame on the road in South Bend. Semi-crowded fan base there with COVID-19 a year ago. But even still, JT Daniels, still very new, just 4 games at Georgia a year ago. I mean, when you go across the country, Coach, it's kind of incredible. But the majority of these teams that everybody says, hey, they're going to be there at the end, they're going to be a team in the college football playoff, they got fresh faces at quarterback. It's kind of wild.
It really is, but it reflects really well on those schools that you just mentioned, their head coaches and ability to recruit, you know, first level high.
We may have lost Coach Bowden there. Let's see. Coach, you got us? All right, we'll try to hook back up with Coach Tommy Bowden here on a Monday afternoon. Not sure what happened there, but we'll give him a buzz back and see if we can't get him on the show here on a Friday afternoon.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
We got you. We got you. You were saying that it reflects on the coaches of these programs to have those guys being so young and out there.
Yeah, the ability to recruit first-class talent at the quarterback position. I think it speaks very highly of them. But you're right. It is kind of unique that all those teams have either first-year players or inexperienced to a certain extent at that position. But the talent, I heard Don Munson talking about DJ, and Don's a pretty good evaluator of talent. He says DJ is going to be better than Trevor. And there's probably some truth to that. How much, I don't know, because I have a lot of respect for Don. He's seen a lot of good football. Don's probably just repeating kind of what he hears a lot from the staff behind the scenes. But you're talking about some really, really talented players. And of all of the ones you just mentioned, it might be DJ who'd be the most talented.
Well, I know Clemson Tiger fans certainly hope so, and the opportunity for these guys to play in front of a packed house, they haven't done that, a lot of these players at Clemson now for a couple of seasons, really. The inability to have just a 50, 70, 85,000 people on top of you. I mean, in your time in coaching, did the crowd ever feel like it played a significant role?
Sometimes there's a noise factor with communication, but so many people operate from the line of scrimmage, hand signals, and things like that. It has become less and less a factor. I think the Georgia Clemson game will come down. I've got a couple ideas, in my opinion, what it will come down, but I don't think the crowd will negatively affect either quarterback or the operation of the plays getting in and the execution, just because so many teams are used to it now in the loud environments.
Lots of new personnel on both sides for these two teams. It's one of the oldest teams, however, for Clemson, just given the fact that the additional COVID season that some of these seniors got, these super seniors that are out there. But, when you look at this matchup, the line of scrimmage, I'm assuming, is probably where you fall into this game being won and lost. Clemson's offensive line a year ago really struggled. I mean, when Travis Etienne's held under 800 yards rushing, and again, it was a shortened season, but even still, you kind of recognize, hey, Clemson couldn't pick up those key second and 3, those third and ones. It was really tough. I mean, is that in your mind where this game comes down tomorrow night in Charlotte?
This would be a little thought about that, and then what I think will be the key. The ability to run the ball is important, but Clemson was last year 11th in the ACC in rushing, but they ended up I think second in total offense. So and look at the success they had. They put the playoffs again. So the ability to run the football in this game, I don't think it will be that big of a factor. I think the most important thing, in my opinion, the advantage in this game and why Clemson will win the game will be the quality and the depth of the defensive line at Clemson plus Brent Venables. To me, that combination to me is going to be the winning edge for Clemson. It's not that Georgia's defensive line is not that good, and it's not that Georgia's defense coordinator is not that good. But I think Venables and Clemson's defensive line is a notch and a cut above, and I think that'll be the biggest factor in the game, and that's why I think Clemson will win.
Well, on the line, Clemson's 127 consecutive game streak since losing back-to-back ball games. That's the longest streak in the country, the longest streak in ACC history. The last time Clemson lost back-to-back games was back in 2011. Former head coach at your Clemson University, Tommy Bowden, here on the program on a Friday afternoon. Coach, enjoy the wonderful weekend. Hope you guys have some beautiful weather and you can take it all in. So many great games, including several tonight in the ACC, North Carolina and Virginia Tech. Man, I cannot wait to lock it in, and we always appreciate you being a part of the show that shakes the Southland.
Hey, have a good weekend. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you next week.
Follow him on Twitter at Tommy Bowden. Oh, man, that is so fun. That is so fun catching up with Coach Bowden every week here on the program, and glad we got him on here today. We'll have him on at 4 o'clock every Friday. Clemson Tom, it's a Tommy day. Tommy Bowden hour 1, Clemson Tom hour 2. As the Tigers and the Bulldogs get set for kickoff up in Charlotte tomorrow. And we'll hear some from Kirk Herbstreit on the program today. That audio, video as well, exclusive to our subscribers on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. You can head over there right now. Just $63.17 for you to be a premium subscriber on our website.
So you can continue to peek over the fence at the best radio show in the nation.
We cannot say 63-17 without playing the audio for our Gamecock listeners peeking over the fence, the late, great Cleveland man there. We come back, an interesting tidbit from Justin Ross next.
Now, Columbia's most dependable